Good morning, everyone. How's it going? Hope you guys are well. I'm your host, Ethan. Welcome to Work Hard. With me is my co-host, Jason.
Good morning,
Jason.
everybody. Good morning, Ethan.
Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you had a good week. I'm drinking a water bottle, and I don't know where'd my Nickies go.
Uh-oh.
Where'd my nicotine go? They're in my pocket. I popped one in before we started. But now you guys have to listen to me do it. Here, listen to the sweet
pop.
Ooh, baby, yeah.
That was a lot more subtle than I thought it would be.
You hear that rattling? Sweet nicotine, baby. So I'm caffeinated this morning and nicotinated.
Nickinated?
I'm nicotinated.
He's nicked.
We're getting close, dude, to some heavy words. Some hard R's. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. I think we've got an exciting episode before us.
Nothing new there.
Yeah, nothing new there. Every episode, a banger.
Each one better than the last.
Each one better than the last. We are getting better and better at this. We are getting more and more natural. If you go back and listen to the first episode where you and I are together, the rapport,
is not there.
Not exactly there. Also, the word I was trying to think of in our last episode, when I was like, what is it when things are like in conflict and it doesn't seem like they can be resolved?
Yeah.
Paradox. That was the word I was
paradox.
thinking of.
Okay.
Yes.
Seems like, but isn't always.
Right. So, this morning, one thing I do want to mention before we dive in, I feel compelled to say this to our 30 listeners, our ever-growing number of listeners, actually. It's trickling in, but our chart is going up. Our monthly viewership's going up and up and up, little by little.
That's all we ask for.
That's all we ask for. The economy is, we're in a recession. It's time to start conducting yourself as if we are in a recession. Okay? I'm going to do a Bitcoin episode.
Okay.
I've been praying about it. It's time.
I'm ready to learn about it.
Okay. I might have my dad come on with us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because he's real
He's
knowledgeable.
knowledgeable about it?
Yeah,
Nice.
So it might be helpful to have. And he's also very, very good at where I would get too excited and start to jump around too much, and it might get a little incoherent.
He might stay more grounded.
Yeah, he'll stay more grounded and be able to address things in a way that people can
follow.
Yeah. But it's time. It's time, man. You guys, we are. If you watch the Big Short, the movie The Big Short, the scene where
It's a great movie.
Yes, it's a great movie. The scene where Mark Baum decides that it's time to short everything, and he's in Florida, and he calls one of his traders, and he goes, "Hey, there's a bubble. Short everything." He's it's time to short it. Time to call bluff. And he's like, "What do you short? What?" And he goes, "Every fucking thing. Short it. It's all crap. They're lying." And we are in that scene. That is the time. That's where we are at in the timeline right now. The Fed is going to cut rates in September. When that happens, it's going to be bad. All right,
they're going to drop interest rates.
Yeah, they're going to drop interest rates. They're going to cut rates in September.
And that's a bad thing.
That is a bad thing for us. It's a bad thing for us. Bad thing for normal people. It's a bad thing. I mean, it's a bad thing for everybody.
Well, it's a good thing for people trying to buy homes, right? Or am I being naive?
No, because the price of the home is going to go up again.
Oh,
because more people are going to start trying to buy homes.
Oh, I gotcha. So it'll spike that higher.
Yeah, it'll spike that higher. So, listen. Here's what's going on. If you take out government spending, the GDP is at negative 4%, which is that's bad. That's really, really bad. That's really, really bad. The jobs reports that have been coming out for the past year are all a lie. It is the new jobs that are being created are subsidized by government spending. And all the new jobs have gone to immigrants. Most of them illegal. More than 100% of those jobs are government jobs, which means that the private sector is losing jobs.
Right.
And the government is expanding in to fill that gap by spending money at a rate that is unsustainable. We are
excellent. Keep failing. Yeah.
Yeah. Keep failing.
Accelerate it.
Yeah. Like I said,
blow yourself up.
Yeah. The last time I mentioned this,
machine.
Yeah. Please. I told you guys.
Continue increasing your compression.
Yes. I told you guys last time when I was concerned that there might be a soft landing. That soft landing is not coming.
It's just delayed.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry. The hard landing's delayed.
The hard landing has been delayed. Maybe 8 months.
By a possible soft landing.
Yeah. People are losing their jobs. And when that is a fundamental aspect of the economy that you cannot negate. When people stop paying their bills, it's over. And that's coming. And you don't, the Western economy is margined up to the gills. So there's really no wiggle room. Like an 8% reduction in total productivity that's it. That's homeless everywhere. It's bad. It's really bad. And I think this is even a stat to mention The Big Short again. I think this is a stat they cover in The Big Short, but it's like, I think it's like for every 1% employment goes up, 40,000 people die.
Due to what?
I don't know. There's no.
Okay. They don't know why.
I've never analyzed the stat past that, but.
Oh my word. That's pretty. If that's true, that's
bad.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah. And so that is.
I don't know if I believe that.
That's what's coming. That is what's coming.
For every 1% that unemployment goes up,
a 2% move in unemployment would be incredibly noticeable.
Okay.
Like the margins on these things are not wide, and so.
Well, I want to take maybe a small sideline and say that's just one of the disadvantages of a highly efficient society, to where, and a highly competitive one. So competition is good in that it reduces the margins. The profit margins of the companies. They have to reduce their profit margins to maintain competitiveness on pricing for the consumer.
Right.
But also, that's part of the problem, is that our society is programmed through public schooling and societal expectations to be consumers, to keep the economy going. You're a good citizen if you're a consumer, if you're buying stuff and keeping the economy flowing, keeping money moving around.
Yeah.
You're not a good citizen if you're conserving money and spending less and being more self-sufficient.
Yeah,
that's not considered a good citizen necessarily.
Right. Yeah, that's a Keynesian economic principle. So that spending is the only thing that actually matters. Money velocity, the rate at which it moves through the economy, is the only stat that actually matters when it comes to maintaining.
That's because that's the only thing they can track.
Well, they can track all kinds of stuff. It's just the theory is.
My point is they can't track it if you just keep it at home on your homestead.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If you're not doing anything that moves the needle in society, if you bought 10 pounds of seeds and some animals that were breeding animals, and then you just more or less withdrew from society and had your own well, and you occasionally buy some necessary supplies, what are you leaving for them to track? You just kind of fall off the chart at that point.
Yeah.
And so to them, it's like you're nothing.
Yes. And to all the normal people out there who don't want to have a well, you can do the exact same thing.
It was just another example of not moving the needle because you're not paying for a water bill.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have a well.
I'm giving you a hard time.
Yeah.
I have a well.
I know. Yeah. See, look at that. You're more removed and off the grid than I am. You freakish hippie. You back to the land.
Yeah, I'm backwoods.
Hippie.
The
hill person.
I'm a bit of a hill person.
Hill person, Ethan.
I'm a bit of a hill person, a bit of a hill man. I do enjoy.
You did just buy some livestock.
Yeah, I just buy some livestock this weekend, and I do enjoy a good biscuit.
Wouldn't be American if you didn't.
Wouldn't be American if I didn't.
At least Southern.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a. I literally, while I was buying my biscuit sandwich this morning, I was thinking, I'm just a Southern boy, dude. I was looking at the menu, being like, do I want to mix it up today?
And I looked at it. Why would I want anything but the biscuit?
Right, and I looked it up, and I looked up at the menu, and I was like, I'm just a Southern boy, dude. I just want that. Give me the biscuit. I don't want anything else. You give me the biscuit. Listen, there are two things I think that are really important to do here. You need to. I'm not going to give you any direct advice. I'm too young. I haven't been in the market long enough to understand exactly what you should do. But you need to spend some serious time understanding how money moves through the economy and how you can get some of that. So here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to start happening. On Instagram, on social media, you see all your friends who are at the lake on their boat. All the people driving around big trucks. These people, normal people, are leveraged up to the gills, which means they've got debt.
They're drowning in debt.
They have
everything they have is a payment.
Yes, everything they have is a payment, and they are their paycheck is they are living paycheck to paycheck because they have so many bills on debt payments, and they have no margin. So every dollar is spoken for every month because
they got $300 to the truck. They got $200 to the boat. They've got
$600 to the credit card.
And then their rent on top of that for $1,500.
Yeah, rent on top of that.
And then food on top of that. They might be on.
And they're going.
They might be on food stamps, just because that's the one government benefit they can get.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so you.
But they won't tell you that.
Yeah, they won't tell you that, and people are not going to. We've kind of covered this last episode. People will not roll back their
lifestyle.
Their lifestyle. It's
until they're forced to.
It's incredibly difficult to do that.
It is.
It is
lifestyle creep. As soon as you get a little more money, as soon as you get a raise, it's very easy to go, I can now afford more.
Right. And get a bigger car, bigger house.
Right. I got to fill up this extra $200 a month I'm making now. Right. Where does that go to? Yeah, savings? That's boring.
Yeah, that's boring, yeah. So I'm taking my wife out to nicer restaurants on Fridays.
Exactly. Hey, now we can finally hit up that other place. Yeah. Where the Smiths go.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, I get it. I get it. Like, I've been eyeballing a Zastava AK-47, AK-50 or whatever it's called for 2 years. Yeah. And I've been thinking, dude, the day I really close like one of the big accounts.
Yeah.
That's going to
be my gift to myself.
Prize, yeah. And so I get it. Like, I get wanting stuff. And you should want stuff. I mean, I talked about this last time. You should want stuff.
I was looking at a sawmill yesterday.
Yeah. There you go.
I was like, one day, sawmill.
One day sawmill. That's the dream, baby.
When it can pay for itself.
When it can pay for itself. It's not a bad idea to own a sawmill out here. So much timber.
Yeah.
So listen, here's what's going to happen. All right. These people they're leveraged up to the gills. They've got a ton of debt. They're going to start, things are going to start squeezing. They're going to start losing jobs. The wife's going to be unemployed. The husband's going to start, losing hours at work, and just slowly, little by little, those debt payments are going to become impossible to pay. There is more personal debt in this country than there has ever been before. It has doubled since COVID. It's really, really bad. All of our financial institutions are built on debt. The entire Western economy, the entire global economy is built on American debt and the productivity of the American worker. So if the American worker stops working, the entire system collapses. And that is what is going to happen. That's what is happening, okay? The job market, it doesn't matter what the government's saying, okay? So what they'll do is they'll do these, they come up with something called the jobs report, and it's a projection of new jobs. They put out the job report. It looks great. We've created 400,000 new jobs.
Fantastic.
I'm amazing. I'm President Joe Biden. I've created 4,000 new jobs. What? Come on, man. So they put that job report out, It gets put into the mainstream media. It gets reported, hey, new jobs, whatever, blah, blah, blah. 2 months later, after all the reports happening, they revise the job reports to show what it really is, and it's a downtrend. And then none of the organizations report that. So, or none of the media organizations report that. So the job market is bad. People are losing their jobs. It's going to start. You're going to start. It's either going to happen to you, or you're going to start. It's going to start happening to your friends. And
if you're a normie,
and when that starts happening, people are going to stop paying their bills. The debt system's going to fall apart. The money velocity is going to slow way down. And that's bad. Well, in the grand scheme of things, it's good, but, because it's
going to be rough in the short term.
It's going to be rough in the short term. There's going to be 8 months potentially where it's, at some point in the next year or two, I think there's going to be an 8-month period that's very, very, very uncomfortable. And if you're not in the right position, it's going to be very uncomfortable for you. So you need to tighten up. It's very, very difficult. I understand, to walk back your style of living.
It's losing face to get rid of your big truck.
Right. Sell the big truck, man.
But it's also completely useless.
It's got to go. Yeah. Listen, if you have
it might be too late to sell the big truck. People are already. My boss keeps talking about how money's tight, so people aren't spending as much.
Right.
And he was able to pick up 2 pickup trucks for like $7,000.
Yeah.
2 running pickup trucks.
Yeah. My uncle, who runs a small business very successfully, just sold I was heartbroken that I didn't have the cash for it. But he sold a very nice crew cab, extra long bed, Tundra, for $10,000. And it was, it's maybe 5 years old, and in perfect working condition.
Wow.
When I saw it, I was like, he was like, yeah, I'm going to sell the truck. And I was like, how much do you want for it? And he was like, $10,000. And I was like,
what?
And then I walked outside and looked at it, and I was like, I looked at Emily, and I was like, we have to figure out how to get $10,000. This is awesome. This thing's going to run for 20 years.
Or you wait 5 until there's recovery, and then you sell it for 15.
Yeah. So if you have equity in any of the things that you're paying financing on, you need to get out from them right now. I would even say if you have a jet ski, if you have a truck, and you're under
anything that you're not dependent on living on and has a payment, liquidate it if you can.
Yeah, liquidate it if you can.
Eliminate the debt.
And eliminate
the payment.
You can take. I would say you can take a $500 difference between the loan and what you can get for it, because $500 isn't that much, and you can just pay that off over a couple months, and then you don't have to worry about it anymore. What I mean by that is, like, if you owe $2,000 on a jet ski that you're only going to be able to get $1,500 for, I would say it's okay to sell the jet ski, take that $1,500, pay off the principal, go after the other $500 pretty aggressively. Just get it out. So you really need to
reduce your liability.
Yeah, you need to increase your total margin. So the amount of cash you're bringing in that you're not spending, you need to increase that right now. And then you need
to put
it
into necessities or savings.
Yeah, so that's what you need to do. You need to figure out how to get, $500, $1,000 a month preserved
for rice and beans.
Yeah, in something. You need to preserve it in something. Now,
we've talked about dry goods,
Bitcoin, precious metals. It's popular to talk about bullets. I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know how viable that is, because bullets can be made easily, and it's not hard to increase total manufacturing of bullets. So if I
imagine that's something that could also be affected more by government regulation and clamping down, though.
Sure.
I would guess
we're in a time where we don't they could
make raids on buildings. There could be executive orders that make it illegal to manufacture ammunition, yada.
Yeah, so you just don't...
Under a military state, that can go away, and it could become extremely valuable.
Right.
Like more valuable than gold.
Yeah. So you don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know.
That's
kind of a little speculative. But a precious metal... now, all of this stuff can be taken from you, okay, by force. Gold was confiscated from the American people In the past, it's not a surefire way to secure wealth, but you do need to make some attempt to preserve some money. Otherwise, your labor is going to go away because this, or the wealth your labor is generated is going to go away because this debt system is collapsing, and that's too complicated to dive into here. But just trust me, all right? Just please get some cash. I operate on a large cash margin, so and we don't. I had to ask my parents for $10 for my wife to go get coffee because that's how little cash I keep in the bank account. Everything that's not spoken for on a slim budget. I live in a 800 square foot cabin on 8 acres of land. I drive a 20-year-old jalopy beater, and I'm a tech sales guy who works from home with all the implications as far as revenue for that goes, and all that money gets stashed away in safe places right now. So that you just please start just for a few months. Do anything you can. Go out to eat one less time a month. You just in anywhere you can manage to succinctly
any decrease in cash flow.
Yeah, that you can tolerate
for non-necessities, and going out to eat is not a necessity.
Yeah, anything. And listen, I took my wife out last night. All right, but we went to a place in the small town we live in. It cost us $35 for her and I both to sit down and eat. I'm not saying you have to stop. You know, you just have to roll back all the way to like Depression era spending. I'm not saying that, but try to tighten the belt anywhere you can tolerate tightening the belt. That is where we're at now, and I just really don't want to see people caught up in the wave of collapse when the debt system falls apart. So
it's a good thing to eliminate some of your addictions and dependencies.
Yeah, but it's very challenging, especially
it's
when
very
you're
challenging.
when you're doing it under duress.
Take small steps, and it will be easier for you.
Yeah,
if you get used to that feeling of depriving yourself of little luxuries.
Yeah, little luxuries. Yeah, I mean, one of the
it won't be maybe such a shock of cold water when it's taken from you.
Yeah,
if it's taken from you, Lord willing, it's
Lord willing,
not.
It's not. Yeah, cancel a couple subscriptions. Just cut back. It's time to cut back.
Yeah, you don't need to be watching all that TV.
Yeah. So there's that. We say that. That is just an urgent thing I feel like I need to say before we dive in. And I'll maybe we just need to devote whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll have the Bitcoin episode come up. I really think that's your safest bet. If Trump gets elected, it's going to go loco. But even then, the price of Bitcoin is not the thing you need to be concerned about. Like making money off of it is not the thing that you should be like, oh, I'm gonna become a millionaire off Bitcoin. That's not what Bitcoin's for, and it's not what you should be concerned with.
Really quick though, because mine and my wife's concern would be being able to liquidate it if an emergency came up. So if you could really quickly address a non-cash savings, such as gold, silver, and those things can fluctuate pretty dramatically. Right. So you could lose wealth in the short term by saying, "Oh, I bought 40 ounces of silver, but then the silver price dropped $2 per ounce.
Right.
And I had this emergency come up, and so I cashed it in, and I lost money. In the short term because it was only 3 months since then. So that's my thought, and the same thing can happen with Bitcoin. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't watch it, but there is quite a bit of fluctuation that happens.
Very volatile, yes.
Yeah, so
that's kind of the rub.
Okay.
The only way to protect yourself against that is keeping a cash pile, a buffer between you and your investment so that you don't have to sell them at a loss. That's why some of the best investment advice you can do to keep yourself unemotional about stuff is to keep 2 or 3 months of income in a savings account.
Okay.
so that you can address those things.
Or a safe.
Or
if you
safe.
don't trust the banks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, cash in a safe, whatever you want to do. It's just, and this is the thing, man. This is why this is so nefarious. It's why these systems are so messed up. Keeping $10,000 in cash in a safe or in a bank account right now is your money is depreciating at 10% a year. So if you have, on average for the past 50 years, money is depreciating at 10% a year. It's about to get way worse. If you have $10,000 in a bank account or sitting in a safe, that $10,000 is going to be $1,000 less
of buying power. So you could buy $1,000 less of chicken a year from now. To make it practical. Right, exactly.
So
you could buy 9 pounds of chicken instead of 10.
Right. Keeping a ton of money in an account somewhere, or just keeping a ton of money in cash is not advisable. So I do think Jason's right. You do need to I play fast and loose with everything. So I play fast and loose with everything that I do, including my finances, and that's why I keep $0 in cash. I also have.
I guess one way you could look at it is that keeping cash. Yeah. So I mean, what is your community like?
Right. Would
you be supported in the event of a real crash?
Right.
What would really happen if you came up against a $5,000 medical expense out of an emergency, out of the blue?
Right.
And the one thing is, like, hospitals, if you don't have the cash, you are going to be put on a payment plan.
Yeah.
It's not as if you just get thrown in jail for it.
You also, the medical debt can't be reported on your
credit?
On your credit.
Oh, okay.
So you don't actually have to.
There you go.
Pay
Good to know.
You can be a total leech in society, and
can they not send you to collections?
They can send you collections.
Okay. Which means they would garnish your paycheck.
No. They will
collections. What? No, they won't.
Not medical debt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can. You can't. I mean, it's part of the reason why whole other thing.
It's so expensive.
It's so expensive because there are so many people who. It's just the price of healthcare is so artificially inflated. It's by so many different things,
and because
crazy.
Of government regulation, there is not true competition.
Right.
In there. The prices, as I understand it, are set by regulation so that you can't actually compete them down,
right? And
which is insane.
Medical providers have to hire so many administrators, and to deal with the amount of regulation and deal with insurance.
Well, then so there's insurance, and then there's also malpractice.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're responsible for, and like to some degree they should be responsible for bad work, just like anybody should be responsible for bad work, but you expect to be able to cut open and have your heart replaced or worked on, and there's not a risk?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
You're up against a life-threatening illness, and you want to be able to hold the hospital accountable and be like, how dare you, like, nick this vein and make me bleed? Like, I was going to die without this surgery, but you made me stay in the hospital for a week longer.
Yeah.
I want to be paid a bunch of money in damages when I needed you in the first place to live. And I am living, but it's not my quality of life that I wanted.
Right, exactly.
And now it hurts when I walk a little more. It's like, then who are you? Who do you think you are?
Yeah, so
make the risk analysis when you go get the surgery.
Yes, yeah.
So that's malpractice insurance, I think, should be far, far less.
Yeah. So just be aware, things are going to get choppy, man. Things are going to get choppy. Everything's going to get more expensive. People are going to start losing their jobs. Everything that sucks now is going to get worse. But it needs to happen. It needs to happen. And hopefully, I don't know, we can talk about this infinitely.
We're way past our 10 minutes. This is not
we're
an intro.
past our 10-minute intro point.
Might be our episode.
Honestly, maybe it should be our episode. The thing that I'll say is, if you're going to keep cash, keep a light bundle. I would say probably like what's like an expensive car repair bill, like $2,000.
I'd say so.
Okay, so
$1,500 to $2,000.
Yeah, so I would keep
that should cover most things. And if you have a second car, that's not as necessary because then you just
Yeah, that's true.
like if my truck breaks down, Emily doesn't get to go anywhere, and I'm driving the van to work until we can afford to fix the truck,
right, exactly.
or until I have the time to dig into it myself.
Yeah,
and painstakingly fix that.
no shot. Dude,
Oh
no
my
shot.
goodness.
There's no way I'm doing that. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, well, we're a one-car family now. You only get to shop on the weekends.
Right.
All other errands and outings are canceled for this week while I'm going to work.
Yeah.
So like that's the advantage of having a second vehicle. My boss is always talking about. He goes, "You got to have a spare vehicle, being out in the country, because driving to the mechanic, taking something to the mechanic is such an endeavor because you're not in town.
Right.
So you got to take somebody else with you who carry you back, and then you're without your vehicle for however long it takes them to repair it.
Yeah.
So if you live outside of city limits, going to the mechanic is a big pain in the behind.
Big pain. Yeah. And I mean, this speaks to, you got to get community, man. The starter went out on my car. We have one car because I work from home. And this is another thing, like you got to start thinking about ways you can edge out an advantage, right? So we only have one car, and we don't have a car payment because we have one 20-year-old vehicle that we bought for cash, that runs great. It's got a bulletproof engine, but we only need one car because I work from home. Now the starter went out on it this week, and so I'm driving my parents' car. So there are like several advantages I have that I'm leaning into that have helped a lot financially, because I don't have to, like, my parents have 3 cars. I have good support system, good community. So I don't have to worry about the fact that I can run one car, right? I can reliably run one car because I have people I can turn to if I need help. And I work from home. So it's just like, look in your life for advantages like that. Like, what are the things you can do that are like, oh, well, we can actually, our house is smaller, so maybe we can not run our central AC during the cooler months and save $300 a month on an electric bill, and just run a window unit that costs us $200 to go grab.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just think about stuff like that, like little things like that. It's kind of a bad example, but I don't know. I don't know. Whatever's in your life, and so like address that, do that, and keep. I would say like $2,000 probably is good to keep on hand. That way, it's only going to be a couple $100 that you're going to lose out of that in real spending power from inflation.
That's just your insurance, keeping that on hand.
Yeah, so you don't have to liquidate any of these potentially volatile assets.
Right, at a bad time. If you do need to liquidate and they're high, go ahead and cash out some, because then it's a win.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that has happened to me before. Like, I have had to sell assets at a loss to cover expenses.
Yeah.
And that sucks. It really hurts.
It sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks.
But it happens.
It does, yeah.
You can't always be in the best position.
Right.
God just doesn't allow you to always sail every sea without getting some chop.
Yeah.
You got to depend on God, too. Throughout all of this, we can't lose sight of God could take away, he could tank all of your investments, whatever you've chosen to put your money in. At any point, he could give you a Job situation where everything gets raided by the Chaldeans and burned up by fire and brimstone, and everything gets knocked in by a storm.
Yeah.
You don't have any power to actually control your situation and make yourself safe. We are simply talking about managing your resources well. And if God takes away your resources, you're going through a period of suffering and trial, and you need to depend on him. And before you go through the trial, you really should be depending on him and prayerfully considering where to put your money, where to put your wealth, and say, help me, Lord, not to, your prayer should be, Lord, please don't, help me not to act fearfully, but act prudently.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
That's prudently,
very
not
well said.
Fearfully,
Yeah,
because it's
prudently,
very
not fearfully.
easy to listen to this podcast, to listen to everything out there in society, and to go, "Oh my goodness, we've got to buy food enough for a year.
Yeah,
we've got to hole up. We've got to bulletproof everything.
Yeah,
I need to make my car bulletproof, and I need to, because there's going to be blood in the streets.
Yeah.
I've got to prepare for every eventuality.
Yeah.
And the fact is, unless you have an incredible amount of income, you can't do all those things. You can't cover every side. You're going to have a flank open somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And truthfully, there's going to be a chink in your armor anytime that God can take away anything from you.
Anything.
Anything.
Whenever he wants. Yeah, whenever he wants.
Because he gave you everything. So
Right.
remember that. You have everything you have because God is merciful and he's generous to you, and he blesses his children when they walk with him and they honor him.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're always perfectly comfortable, but if you look over the span of 100 years of faithful living by Christians, you will see blessing rather than more so than curses.
Yeah.
Over the span of a long period of time.
Right.
But there will be downturns. There will be times of trial.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think biblically you can look and see how it's far worse when you don't trust God and you depend on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's guaranteed to bring a curse on your head and your children's head eventually.
Yes. Yeah. So
even though God is patient, sometimes it might take a while.
yeah. Yeah. So guys, just listen. There are a few people that listen to this who know me personally, who know us know Jason and I personally. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions about this kind of stuff. I can't, obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. I have no legal standing to give you financial advice, but
which to me is so stupid.
Yeah.
That you have to be legally allowed to hand out
and
financial advice.
The people who are legally allowed to hand out financial
should not
advice
are giving out the worst.
They're giving out the worst. Oh,
we're probably illegally allowed to say that. Does that fall under free speech? That legal advisors are terrible?
Yeah, legal advisor.
Financial advisors?
Terrible.
Don't listen to them.
Terrible.
Well, they'll give you conventional advice that works conventionally.
Right, we're in an unconventional time.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
When are we not?
Yeah, right. So true, Jason. So yeah, listen. If you're a listener who's found us organically from somewhere else, you don't know us, please feel free to email us at workhard@hyperpremium.co. I will respond to those emails and I will answer your questions. We'll answer your questions on air as well. So please feel free to email us hyperpremium.co or workhard@hyperpremium.co. So yeah, that's what else is there to say on that? Because at this point, this should be the episode. We're 40 minutes in.
Now we're kind of stuck.
Yeah, now we're stuck. I mean, this is really important.
You want to talk more? You want to give a little talk about Bitcoin?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can give a little bit.
You can give more of a teaser.
Yeah,
I can maybe ask some questions for 20 minutes, and we can dig in deeper in the future, maybe with your dad.
Yeah. So one of the things before I do that, I'll say this: I haven't. I got to brush up on some stuff because it's been a couple years since I went on my full journey, and it's not this thing that like consumes every aspect of my life. So I don't. My thesis, I formed my thesis. It stayed the same. I reevaluate it periodically, but at this point, it's pretty set in my head. So a lot of the specifics are fuzzy for me because it's been a couple years.
I understand. So to elaborate on that just a little bit more, that's kind of like having a mission statement.
Yeah.
For your company.
Yeah.
And you spend a lot of time at the beginning of a group or organization, or when you're making a big family change, in developing and researching your mission statement and saying, this is our purpose in doing this. This is our goal, and this is why we are doing it.
Yeah.
The how and the why, the where, all of that. So when you first developed it, you were able to argue it. You're able to answer any question that somebody might pose to you because you're in the process of actually developing it.
Right.
You start living your life according to that, and it kind of becomes background. Of course.
Yeah.
Like, this is the way we do things. Of course it makes the most sense.
Right.
But you may not be able to argue it as well anymore because the details are fuzzy, the stats are lost.
Yeah.
But at the time, who knows?
You remember the process you went through. You know how hard you worked to develop that.
And I think it really helps to write that down somewhere so that you can actually go back, because then you might start to doubt it. If somebody raises a question that you're not able to answer and you go, why are we doing this? Did I make a mistake somewhere?
Yeah.
When we moved this gets into our other topic a little bit, but when we moved from Oregon, more or less kind of had a mission statement as to why we were doing it, because I didn't want to do it without being sure.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to articulate the mission statement necessarily, or word for word, but I had at least written it down, and I might be able to find it still somewhere.
Yeah.
But it talked about all of our reasons for doing this difficult thing of pulling up our roots and moving and disrupting a lot of our lives because we thought the end goal was worthwhile.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
so
you had,
that being
you're
said,
not fresh, but you had kind of a mission statement. You had your reasons for going into Bitcoin.
Yeah. So
and putting your trust in that, your earthly trust.
Yeah.
Thinking that was your best bet.
So I'll say I'll take two angles on this. One of them I'll just say is the fun angle, the like silly. It's just something I think it's fun. It's fun to believe this. And it's inconsequential, so I like believing it. But so to give you guys some background on Bitcoin itself, it was created in 2000. Well, I think 2011. I think was when the network went live. If I have that correctly, it might have been a little bit earlier. 2007 maybe. I don't know, but again, this is where it's fuzzy, like these little specifics are fuzzy. But anyways, it was created by a person or people named Satoshi Nakamoto. Nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is.
Probably not a real name.
Probably not a real name.
Joe Smith.
Yeah.
In Korea.
Yeah. Satoshi Nakamoto created this network, released the white paper, which is the technical document that describes how Bitcoin works.
The white paper?
The white paper.
Okay.
And he then he created wallets for a couple people, sent them Bitcoin to prove, as a proof of concept, that the network worked, gave them access to those wallets, stuck around for a little while to answer questions, emailed back and forth with a couple people, and then out of nowhere, vanished. Went totally silent.
Yeah, may or may not be living still.
But is totally anonymous. So, and once you get into Bitcoin, like even saying that right now gives me a little bit of chills, because once you start understanding the technology and the power that this thing has to do that, it might be more impressive than George Washington walking into the Continental Congress and surrendering his sword when he could have taken control of America as the king because he had control of the army.
Right.
The fame that Satoshi Nakamoto will go down. You have to understand that we will be, when humanity is mining asteroids for precious metals, we will be pricing those precious metals in Bitcoin. It is inevitable. It is going to be the reserve currency that all other currencies are based off of in perpetuity for the next 10,000 years. It is money perfected. So to do what he did, to do that and do it anonymously, shows humility that I believe is supernatural. Now, Satoshi Nakamoto depends on who you ask, but there are several different ways to translate that name. One of them is centralized knowledge, or all knowledge centralized in a small group. Now, God is a little group of persons contained in one entity, and he has described himself as being all-knowing several times. Many of the Satoshi Nakamoto emails have the same captivating sort. When you read scripture, it has this ability to hold your attention for much longer than other written material. I think to me it feels supernatural. It can just capture your attention. When you read Satoshi Nakamoto's emails, many of them have that same effect. I think there's a legitimate chance that Satoshi Nakamoto is God, and that Bitcoin
was a gift.
It was created supernaturally. It was not created by a human being. That's my fun conspiracy theory. And that's obviously absurd and completely out there. And it's almost certainly not true. But it's still
But it's certainly a person who had a wisdom and foresight and humility that was God-given. God created this person.
Right.
And
so, yeah, to some extent there was divine.
That does not have, or that resisted the One Ring.
Right.
That resisted the power they had.
Right. Yeah, he has a wallet that has a bunch of Bitcoin in it.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, but it's never moved.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's...
I thought they couldn't read other people's...
No, you can read you can tell. That's one of the reasons why Bitcoin is actually amazing, because you can. Okay. It's an open ledger, so you can see where all the money is.
Okay.
You have to be able to draw the.
But because their wallet is attached to a number, isn't it?
Right.
Okay.
And so if you know who owns that number,
yeah,
and there's a public.
So everyone knows who Satoshi Nakamoto's number is.
Right. They all know where the wallet is, and you can track it on the network, and so it's just set there for years. I mean, can you imagine? If you were a person or a group of people that invented Bitcoin, it has increased 61,000% today. This person's a billionaire many times over.
Yeah.
With this wallet. The discipline required to not sell that, because he could sell it at any time.
Uh-huh.
The discipline required to not sell it.
He's probably dead.
He might be dead. He might be dead. But I mean, if he's dead, he did the greatest service the greatest thing you can do for humanity. This is a Michael Saylor point. If you want to do something truly productive for humanity, it is put all your Bitcoin on a wallet just before you die. Do not tell anybody the recovery phrase or the key for that wallet, and then die and take your Bitcoin with you, because it reduces the amount of Bitcoin that's available, and that is a deflationary action. So it increases the wealth of everybody else who's holding Bitcoin.
Mm.
So it's the same thing as distributing a small amount of that Bitcoin equally across the entire population, just donating it when you die.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing I want to say. That's just fun. I get that out of the way. It's a fun little thought.
So even if somebody found that wallet without the recovery,
yeah, they have no access to it.
It's impossible to hack.
Yeah, you can't get into it. So I'll tell you this. I'll tell you without getting into the technical stuff, because I think that's probably a good way to keep this conversation. It's high level, non-technical. When COVID hit, I got laid off. I was at a company that did not have a wide margin. They got hit. I got laid off. The government approved a multi-trillion-dollar stimulation package for the economy. I knew where that was headed, and I was worried. We had no money. We owned a condo in Austin that was worth a significant amount of money.
Right.
But that was it. That's all we had. I didn't feel like there was a future. I didn't know what I was going to do. The comedian Sam Hyde posted in one of his on his Patreon this this letter doing this, which is urging people to look into Bitcoin. And he was just making a point about how it was really, at that point in time, it was really significant. Like, you really need to do this. And just before that, I think it was trading at like $20,000 when he posted that, and it went to 69 ultimately at its new high. So he called it perfectly.
Yeah.
And also, side note, if you guys, those of you who don't know us, who want to try to dox me or whatever, I have now been featured on Sam Hyde's social media multiple times.
Oh,
so there's a little little hint for you if you want to go out and try to figure out who I am.
And get Ethan fired.
Yeah. My picture is been broadcast multiple times now by a large internet presence. You could find my picture on the internet. But also, you could dox me pretty easily, no matter. It's not hard.
Oh, speaking of this is not doxing. It was a mistake. I have yet to figure out how it happened. But my wife mentioned to her mom that I was on a podcast or something.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law was like, "Oh yeah, your dad, yeah." Her husband had apparently sent her a clip of me on the podcast, a video of me on the podcast. It was really nice and it was really professional looking, and we were like in a garden, and I was talking about seeds or something farming or gardening related.
Yeah.
And Emily's like, I don't think that. She's like, I hadn't heard of any video going. Like, I don't think Ethan would have filmed him and put it out. And I was like, and we've never filmed in a garden before. But my mother-in-law is absolutely convinced that she watched a clip of me on a podcast video in a garden. So I need to watch. I will follow up on this, but
there's a video of you.
I think there's a
somewhere.
doppelganger. I think she's mistaken me for somebody else, which I find incredibly funny.
That is very funny. Yeah,
but
and it's like
so
talking about
not a
something
dog. I know, so it's
you would talk
believable.
about, yeah.
But I'm also curious how close this guy looks to me.
Yeah,
and how close he sounds to me. That my mother-in-law was like, "Yeah, that's Jason."
That's crazy. Yeah, that is wild. Maybe there's another you out there. Maybe we're about to enter into some strange thriller.
Exactly. Yeah. 10 years in the future, Jason's a far more successful podcaster farmer.
Yeah.
He actually knows how to farm and garden.
Yeah.
He actually knows how to film
his clips
do
his clips are being
podcasts.
sent around.
He just saw me 10 years in the future.
Yeah.
Jason's looking older in this podcast.
Yeah, they did it. Ethan and Jason did it. That's crazy. So anyway, at the urging of this post, I decided to look into Bitcoin a little bit, and that kind of opened up this whole can of worms for me, where I began to understand everybody knows about inflation. Okay, everybody understands inflation. Everybody beats that drum at this point. The reason why Bitcoin is so attractive is because it cannot be tampered with, and because it is not at this time it is an inflationary asset because mining is creating new Bitcoin. But once 21 million Bitcoin is created, it will not continue to increase.
Caps. That's right. I forgot about that.
And you cannot.
When is that going to happen?
I believe 20.
Because they can only mine it at a certain rate.
Yeah,
correct?
they can only mine it at a certain rate, and the rate reduces every 4 years.
Okay. But they projected that out, I'm sure.
Yes. So we know when it's going to stop.
Okay. And at that point, it'll just be a set value.
Yes.
Well,
you'll have
because of whatever you're buying into it is going to change.
You have processing fees. When you move Bitcoin, you have to spend Bitcoin to move it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yes. And that's one of the reasons why.
Who do you pay though?
The miners, the system. The system just automatically collects it and distributes it out to the miners who are doing the math and the actually doing the computing on the back end to run the network. So that's how you make money.
The miners are people?
Yes, the miners are people running very expensive high-end computers to solve math equations that do not have. There's a math equation. I said we're not going to get technical.
Okay, that's all right. We'll just leave it there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that.
So what do I want to say about this? When I found, how do I want to say this? I had dealt with very serious anxiety and depression most of my life, and I had had a really, really hard time holding a job. That was a big part of that was because I knew I remember being 6 and going to the grocery store and watching my mom spend $200 to feed our family of 5.
Right.
And going, man, $200, that's a ton of money.
Yeah.
And then I remember being 22 and going to the grocery store and spending $200 to feed myself and my wife for a week.
How much did you say your mom did it for a month? How long was she feeding your family?
2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, okay.
A family of 5.
More people for twice as long.
Yeah, 2 growing boys. One of them was 6 feet tall.
Oh, my word, yeah.
One of them was a 6 foot tall skateboarding power lifter.
Right.
She was feeding us For like I was consuming 5,000 calories a day.
Yeah. More than double the recommended.
Right, exactly. So, and she was feeding us for $200 for 2 weeks, and then I was feeding my wife and I for a week. So less than half the people for less than half the time for the same amount of money.
Yeah. The same amount of U.S. dollars.
Right, same amount of U.S. dollars. Yes. If you and everybody sees that, whether you consciously recognize that or not, everybody sees that. Subconsciously, you start to realize that you are not getting paid any more than your parents were getting paid, but everything is more than twice as expensive. That creates hopelessness. You start to feel like you do not have a future. There is no future. Your future will only ever be grinding as hard as you possibly can to make less and less and less money. You are working super hard not to get ahead, not to build a future for yourself, but just to survive. And eventually, it will not be enough. And you will not be able to work to survive.
Then you'll be forced
to depend on the government.
Which
right.
is the end goal. And lots of people already have been.
Exactly.
Lots of people have willingly done that because they don't see the long-term ramifications of that, because they don't recognize that they are giving over control.
Right.
One of my favorite sayings is, "He who takes the king's coin is the king's man."
Yes.
If the government is the one providing for you and paying for your things and giving you food, they have absolute leverage over you.
Right.
And when they say, "Take this shot," you're going to take that shot.
Yeah. What else are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Starve?
Yeah.
Because they'll say, now, if you don't do this, we will take away your health insurance. That's why I loathe government health insurance.
Yeah.
Is because I don't want my health insurance taken away because I refuse to do something the government now wants me to do.
Right. Right.
Because the government is so predictably evil that I don't want them to have any leverage over me that as much as I can.
Yeah.
There may come a point where I'm forced to take government insurance or to take advantage of Medicare because, one, the government, and I've been thinking about this recently, the government is the one who has made medical stuff so unaffordably expensive.
Right.
And obviously, historically, medicine has always been expensive.
Yeah.
Bad health problems have always depreciated people's savings and wealth.
Yeah.
Right? But I mean, if we're talking about potentially putting you in debt for years over a helicopter flight, oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, So these things, they instantiate hopelessness. That's what happens. You become hopeless. And when you get hopeless, you stop trying. And when you stop trying, you stop working. And when you stop working, things get even worse than they were before. The situation that caused your hopelessness.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. It's a spiral. Yeah. It's a negative feedback loop.
The New Zealanders call that circling the Gurgler.
Okay, got it.
Circling the drain.
Right. Yeah. You're an odd duck, Jason.
No, there was a paramedic who, when I was in the paramedic program, he was one of the instructors.
Yeah.
Who had previously gone through the program under the same head administration of my program.
Okay.
But he's from New Zealand. He used to be in special forces over in New Zealand, and then he came to America and became a paramedic for some reason.
All right.
But there was a very strict no swearing rule in class. There was a swear jar, and apparently the Peggy, our head instructor, said for the first half of the year of the program, she didn't realize he was swearing because his accent was so strong and the slang was different.
That's funny, yeah.
But one of his terms when referring to a patient who was spiraling, that was what they would say.
Circling the Gurgler?
Circling the Gurgler.
Gurgler, okay. I like it. So you start circling the Gurgler at some point. and I was circling the Gurgler. I think that's what we're going to call the episode.
Circling the Gurgler.
Circling the Gurgler.
I like it. The other illegal financial advice was what I was thinking.
So I got into Bitcoin and I started digging into it and realizing that it is an immutable, unchangeable asset that will not increase in its total amount. So the I guess saying that would be technical. So and I don't want to dive into that right now. So
you're saying just eventually it will be a fixed value.
It will be a fixed value.
And even though whatever you're buying with it, if you cash it out to be able to... Well, I mean, I guess if businesses get to the point, and you're saying eventually they will, right, accept Bitcoin, you could go to the grocery store and buy groceries with Bitcoin, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, Bitcoin probably what it will become is something like what gold used to be.
Okay, so that's just the hedge against inflation. That's where you store long-term wealth.
Yeah, so
cash it out when you need to spend some cash.
Yeah, so governments will have something like a stable coin. They'll have something like a central banking currency that's digital. It will be priced in Bitcoin. So the idea will be that you can take, the US dollar coin. You'll be able to take that to some reserve institution at the US and exchange it for a fixed amount of Bitcoin, like you used to be able to do with the dollar.
I see. Just like the gold standard, so it would be the Bitcoin standard.
Right, the Bitcoin. And there's a book called The Bitcoin Standard that I encourage everyone to read.
Okay.
It's a tome, though, so...
Is it big one?
Yeah, it's a big one.
Have you read the whole thing?
Yes.
During your journey?
I listened to half of it on an audiobook.
There it is. There it is.
I cheated. But, hey, listen, the information is so important.
I was excited. I said, Ethan read a tome.
I'd read tomes.
Okay. Science fiction tomes.
So maybe, but tomes nonetheless. The information is so important, I don't care how you extract it. So if you need to listen to do it on audiobook, listen to it on audiobook. The point that I'm ultimately trying to make is that when I dug into this thing and found out more about it, it totally relieved my dread about the future. That hopelessness went away because all of a sudden there was something that I could do to get ahead. There was something that no one could stop me from doing to get ahead. There was a way to actually save money. And that is profound and tremendous. And so we'll have another episode at some point in the near future where we explain, or maybe it's me and my dad, maybe it's just me, explain why that's the case. Why is Bitcoin able to preserve these things, and why is it such a tremendous asset? And you can get really, really deep in the philosophy and start talking about energy exchange and what wealth really is, and the preservation of energy, and how it's all related to human labor, and how debt and fiat currencies are slavery, and it's why you feel like you're trapped, because you are. That's why birth rates are going down. Monkeys in captivity stop mating. They stop having children.
When the food supply is low?
Well, just when they're in captivity.
Oh.
When they know they're in a zoo, they stop. They have to be encouraged artificially.
Panda.
Right.
Panda's not getting it on.
Yeah. And so that is why birth rates, it's a huge part of the reason why birth rates are increasing, because you are in captivity right now. And you have a way to free yourself. So we'll dig into that.
That's why Christian birth rates are higher, is because we are free in Christ.
Yeah, we are free in Christ. We know that no matter what
we have
goes
a confidence.
On, yeah, exactly. We have a confidence
outside of all this, outside of Bitcoin and gold and whatever else.
Right. We have something even better than Bitcoin, which is the promises of the Creator of the universe.
Amen.
All right, guys. So we're at an hour. We will do a Bitcoin episode in the future. I don't know if you guys care about that. I don't care. I feel a very strong conviction.
I want to do a Bitcoin episode.
Good. Okay, good. So, I feel a very strong conviction to do it. So we'll do one soon. I just got to figure out how to get a third mic up on this thing. But yeah, all right, guys, we love you. Please, 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 get your money right. please. It's critical right now. And don't go like full prepper mode, okay? The thing that I don't like about preppers is that this like cataclysmic social disorder that they're trying to prepare for, it only lasts like 8 months. Like it doesn't last that long.
Are you basing that off of other historical cataclysmic?
Yeah, people think that like the
Weimar
fall
Republic
of Rome,
and whatnot?
the Weimar Republic, or like the fall of Rome started like the Dark Ages, you know. But I mean, this is one thing that we could really get Chris going on. Like it wasn't.
That'd be great.
They weren't dark, you know. The Middle Ages were beautiful. There was so much amazing art, and the cultures were amazing, and like there was a very short period of time
of tumult
after the Roman Empire fell. And the Weimar Republic, that happened very quickly. These things, the only thing that occurs that's like tremendously destructive and terrible that can last for a long time is war. In which case, you should, keep your head down. But that's not going to happen here, so it's not something you got to worry about. We love you guys. Please get your money right. You don't have to go full prepper mode. You just need to have enough to take care of yourself for an 8-month period.
And community is a better insurance than Bitcoin or gold.
Yeah, community is. Jason's right.
Get community.
Yeah, get community. It's having people to rely on is so critical.
Just to put a bug in your ear, why not get a bunch of people together and buy 100 acres and parcel it off?
Yeah, or just start going to church.
Then you build your own community.
Yeah.
I'm just saying long-term thinking. This is something to be thinking about down the road. Yeah. This doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
But just in case no one's ever thought of that before.
Right. Yeah, just
something I'd like to do.
Get some friends that can.
But I might be 60 by the time I get it done.
Yeah.
So
well, maybe we'll see.
We'll see.
Get some friends you can ask for help if you need it, and they can ask you for help if they need it. So, guys, we love you. Go to church. We're praying for you. Please take care of yourself. Be very cautious. Gregory Mannarino, I don't know how to spell his last name, is a really fantastic, successful trader who's erratic and insane, and I hope one day to have him posting his content on Hyper Premium. But he has a very... his finger is directly on the pulse of all of this stuff. He's a little bit more doom and gloom and like way more hopeless than I am. I think he thinks the powers that be are all he's not a Christian, so he doesn't
there it is.
Yeah, but he does have a really good beat on this thing, and he has a great indicator, one of his whatever. Just look up Gregory Mannarino on YouTube. We love you guys. Good luck out there. It's going to get bad quickly. It may take some more time for that to unfold, but when it starts, it's going to happen all at once.
Housing bubble happened all at once.
Yep, it's going to happen. Boom. Boom. So just gear up, buckle up. Please take care of yourselves. We love you. Jason, anything you want to say?
No, sir. I think that's good.
Okay. All right, guys. We're out. Peace.